Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today I'm bringing you a full, story-driven deep dive about Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktaş. If you enjoy long, detailed videos, please hit the like button and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel even more, you can click the join button below. Thank you, and now let's get into the video. The headlines say appearance, but what really happened was a day-long marathon of kindness that started before sunrise and didn't end until the city lights were shimmering on the Bosphorus. After weeks of whispers, Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktaş quietly arrived at a neighborhood cultural center that works with children from difficult circumstances, kids who needed a break from worry and a reminder that they are seen. There were no red carpets, no step-and-repeat banners, and no press call. Just a short guest list, a packed schedule of activities, and two actors determined to give their time rather than their names. Before the doors opened, volunteers taped hand-drawn stars along the corridors. In the small library, a table was covered with coloring sheets and soft crayons. In the courtyard, a coach set up mini-goals with bright cones for a friendly match. This wasn't a grand gala, it was a day built out of small, careful choices. And when the van pulled up behind the center and the duo stepped out, low-key jackets, simple sneakers, the first reaction from the organizers was relief. They had come to work. People who were in the room say that the tone of the day was set by the greeting. No speeches. No ladies and gentlemen. Just a circle on the floor and names shared one by one until the room felt like a team. When a little boy hesitated to say his, Barış sat down cross-legged and waited with him, not pushing for an answer, letting silence do the work. A few minutes later, the boy spoke up, too softly to hear, then grinned when the whole group repeated his name back like a chant. That was the moment the day shifted from planned to alive. The first activity was a storytelling workshop led by Yağmur. Fans know her for the layered emotions she brings to the screen. The children met a different side, the mentor who asks good questions. "What does your hero want?" she asked. "What is the hardest thing they have to do?" She didn't lecture about craft. She listened. One girl, meticulous and serious, wrote about a kite that wouldn't fly. Another boy wrote about a bus driver who always arrived on time even in storms. Yağmur moved between tables, encouraging details, asking about smells, colors, and what the air felt like. When a story got stuck, she suggested a trick: try putting your character in someone else's shoes for one page, and the children, delighted by permission to play, ran with it. Meanwhile, the courtyard turned into a mini-stadium. The whistle blew, and suddenly you were watching the most careful version of football imaginable. Barış played goalkeeper for both sides, swapping every few minutes, managing to let improbable shots in at the exact moments it would make the shyest kids beam. When a boy with a repaired ankle hesitated near midfield, Barış ran alongside him at half speed until the child's confidence pushed them both toward the goal. No dramatic slides, no showy goals, just the choreography of a grown-up who knows the point is joy, not winning. Midday brought a pause for sandwiches and fruit, replaced quicker than volunteers could announce seconds. That's when the duo moved table to table like hosts at a family gathering. There were questions about filming and lights and how many times you have to say the same line before the director is satisfied. There were questions that had nothing to do with television. About school nerves, about a stray cat by the back gate, about whether kites fly better at the seaside or on hilltops. They answered all of them with the same measured care, making sure every child had the last word. After lunch came the art wall. One of the volunteers had stretched butcher paper across a hallway and marked the outline of an enormous tree. The children's task: fill the branches with paper leaves describing something I can do that makes my world better. A few wrote share my snack. One wrote call grandma on Sundays. Another, tiny handwriting, careful letters, wrote listen without laughing. When the leaves ran out, someone started tracing hands. By the end of the hour, the wall had turned into a forest. It wasn't all soft moments. The staff had planned a segment on resilience, and it was frank. One boy had lost a parent. One girl didn't want to talk about home at all. Here, both actors shifted gears with startling sensitivity. Yağmur spoke about fear as a feeling that doesn't need to be fixed instantly. Barış talked about routines, how they can anchor a day the same way marks on a set keep a scene steady. Neither offered platitudes. Both offered presence. The counselors noticed and, this is important, stepped in whenever the conversation got heavy. The point was never to make a spectacle of pain. It was to remind the kids that help is a team sport. A logistics note that fans might appreciate, even off the clock, the two are punctual. When a craft session ran 10 minutes late, they both helped speed clean, collecting stray markers and folding chairs. There was no assistant sweep. There was a pile of colored pencils that made its way back to their box because 4 extra hands made it happen faster. Little efficiencies like that meant the last block, the one the children had been whispering about all day, could start right on time, the surprise mini-screening. In the center's tiny auditorium, someone cued a selection of scenes that celebrated persistence, kindness, and teamwork, not just from a single series but from family-friendly favorites. Between clips, the kids fired questions at the duo like popcorn. Do you ever forget your lines? What if you cry when the scene doesn't want you to? Are stunts real? The answers were truthful and practical. Learn your lines early so you can play. If tears come when they shouldn't, breathe and count the lights. Stunts are planned by experts. The bravest thing is often to say no if something doesn't feel right. More than once, a staff member caught a kid scribbling those tips in a notebook like secret spells. Toward late afternoon, the energy dipped, the beautiful kind of tired that follows a day well spent. That's when the letters came out. Earlier in the week, the kids had written notes to their future selves, sealed in simple envelopes. The plan was to slip them into a box to be opened next year. Before they did, the organizers asked if anyone wanted to read a line or two aloud. A boy stood up and read, "Remember to keep your room a little cleaner than yesterday," and everyone laughed. A girl read, "Be brave enough to ask for help." Another read, "Be the person who says, 'Come sit with us.'" When the box closed, the room applauded, not for the guests, but for the kids. Did fans catch them outside? Yes, a small knot had gathered near the exit by evening. The duo waved, posed for a few quick photos, and kept the focus on the center, pointing curious passersby to its website and wish list. They didn't linger for selfies until midnight. They didn't turn the day into content. They kept the traffic moving as the staff ushered the last children to waiting vans. If you are wondering why this quiet day still matters on a public channel, here's the answer. In a culture that often confuses visibility with value, this was a masterclass in doing the work without the noise. There was nothing glamorous about labeling snack boxes and catching runaway footballs, but there was something unforgettable about the way 2 very busy people made a room full of kids feel like the most important appointment on the calendar. Before they left, the director of the center handed them a small gift, drawings bundled with twine and a bookmark that read, "Thank you for your time, it's the one thing we can't return." They didn't post it. They tucked it away. And that choice, perhaps more than any quote, tells you what you need to know. So what comes next? Don't be surprised if similar initiatives pop up in other districts, organized by the same network of volunteers, with the same focus on low-key, high-impact design. Don't be surprised if you hear about a scholarship fund for arts supplies or a weekend mentorship track for teens that teaches camera basics, editing, and sound. When people move from appearance to habit, programs tend to take root. For fans of Kensesekleri, here's the takeaway: the kindness you loved in their characters is not a prop. It shows up when the lights are off, when the schedule is cramped, when the easiest choice is to send flowers instead of showing up. They showed up. Thank you so much for watching my video. If this kind of in-depth storytelling is your style, please like and subscribe, ring the bell so you never miss an upload, and drop a comment. Should more celebrity events be done this quietly? What kind of workshops would you love to see for kids next time? Your ideas help shape what happens next. See you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.